Okay, cool. Chicks up. He says, I'm embarking on building multi-city websites for rent. Okay. Do you still advocate creating subdomains versus subdirectories for each city? And is the choice weighted more towards safety, penalty, or ranking? Thanks. Yes, Chick. I absolutely recommend subdomains over subfolders or subdirectories because of the safety issue. We were just talking about mitigating risk, not putting all your eggs in one basket. The problem with subdirectories is if anything from root level beyond, right? So anything that is beyond the root level. So domain.com and anything in domain.com/anything, right? So anything beyond the slash, all of those, if it catches a penalty, the penalty will be levied against the root. So in other words, if a particular page or post on your website was to catch a penalty, it can affect the entire domain. Well, additional WordPress websites that are installed in subdirectories are treated as if they're on the root. So if you got a individual location WordPress site that's on a subdirectory terminated or penalized, excuse me, then it will affect the root domain and all of the other locations attached as subdirectories. Does that make sense? And so, but if you do subdomains as opposed to subdirectories, if you do subdomains, each subdomain is treated as an individual website by Google. So as long as you keep the root clean and you don't catch a penalty on the root, again, if you catch a penalty on the root, it will still apply to all of the subdomains because that's the parent domain. But if you catch a penalty on a subdomain, it will be isolated to that subdomain only. Does that make sense? So that's why it's important. That's why for me, if I'm going to do multi-location projects or campaigns, and I don't use WordPress. I'm not using WordPress websites now, guys, because I'm just doing GMB stuff. I'm using GMB websites as the primary website now. But when I was doing a lot of WordPress stuff and multi-location stuff, I would do it with subdomains and I would keep the root really clean. I wouldn't do anything spammy to the root. That would, if I was going to do anything spammy, it would be into individual subdomain locations. That way, I would protect all of the other sibling locations, right? Which would be all of the other subdomains. So that's the reason why. There's been some tests in the past. They're old though. That like from many years ago now, that subdirectories actually have a little bit more SEO value. Like they're weighted a little bit heavier towards SEO, but I would rather reduce my risk than have that little tiny bit of additional SEO push from doing everything under the root. If that makes sense. Does anybody want to comment on that before I move on?
No, I think that's perfect. And the reason why we also do it is because we can push so much power to the subdomains that we don't need the extra boost that you get from a subdirectory. That's right. Because we can go ahead and make up for that with all of the power that we push.
That's right.